What's going on, good folks? Coming at you live again. Um, no, I ain't dropped nothing in a minute, but I've been dealing with a bunch of back pain, uh, doing crazy stuff. But uh, today's topic is inspiration over desperation, and you probably might ask why this topic today. Well, I'm a former over-the-road truck driver, as I spoke about before. Um, I turned the truck over in 2014. Wasn't the funniest thing, I thank God, because there's four 10,000-pound rolls of paper that if one would have just leaned forward, it would have smashed through the trailer of the truck and killed me. I wouldn't even been around to even get stabbed. I'd have been already dead. So sometimes you got to do a little bit of self-reflecting, and by that I mean, in order to deal with the back pains, because they wanted to do surgery, but I was like, no, man, I ain't trying to let nobody cut on me, and it was a bad decision then. It's just compounded now with being stabbed in the neck and the front and having a problem in the back. C4, C5 is messed up. So I never wanted to be an addict of pills, or because sometimes the pills would work, sometimes they wouldn't work. So you become desperate and you start looking for outside things that'll make the pain go away, you know. And that's why I said desperation. Desperation versus inspiration. My sister used to always tell me, Alex, it's not what you're looking at, it's the way you're looking at it. You know, I would drink to the high heavens just to get some sleep. I was already a light sleeper, but once that nerve goes bad and it's having one of those days where it's just like, and it could go on for days in a row, I know when it's gonna calm down, because it'll give like a burning sensation, then it'll go numb, and then it'll settle out. It might not go all the way back to like zero, which typically it doesn't, but sometimes it'll get back to zero. If I lay down long enough and just like chill and don't do nothing for a couple of days, it'll go back to zero. But in that, I came up with this topic because I just started to realize that, you know, I've been realized that it just never was in the forefront of my mind, where I had to realize that I'm not drinking for the fun of it. Hell, I don't even like the taste of beer after like a certain amount of them. But I can get around a bunch of beers and just drink them and drink them and drink them and drink them and drink them just in order to go to sleep. And in my desperation of trying to find a way to deal with the pain, I lost my inspiration just to do the things that I loved. Like nothing was important. Once I cracked the beer and it was just, okay, I need to make the pain go away, nothing mattered. It's never fun, especially if you trying to fight with something that essentially ain't gonna go away unless you seek medical attention. But you're trying to self-medicate, which ain't causing you to have great relationships with people. You're very irritable just because you're in so much pain. And now you top that with alcohol, you're bound to say and do things that you would never say or do if you were sober. But I found a little bit of inspiration because my uncle, who's a pastor, who he actually warned me about what was going to happen to me about 2 weeks before I got stabbed in my neck. Me and him was having a conversation, which I rarely talk to my uncle, and now I'm trying to talk to him, but I have a hard time talking with people outside of having a drink because I'm not really, you might think I'm an extrovert because I have an ability to make people laugh, but like the old saying, it's the person who's smiling the most that's trying to hide their pain. The person who's telling the jokes is the one that's trying to keep you from seeing the pain. And my uncle picked up the phone, and before I could even get the first couple of words out, said, "Are you drinking?" And I paused for a second, and I just remember having to say, "Yeah, yeah." He said, "Don't call me when you're drinking. I love you, brother. You're going through something that I've been through because my uncle was a heavy alcoholic before he changed his life. So in that, I found a little bit of inspiration because it's something that it runs in my family. Um, Drug addiction, alcohol, and I can tell you that I've probably blown the last 10 years of my life. I turned over that truck in 2014, 2015, somewhere around that time. I think it was 2014. So I've been progressively just dealing with this through alcohol instead of going to go seek real help. And having that conversation with him inspired me to say, okay, enough's enough. First of all, my problem has reached a person that I only talk to on a maybe month-to-month basis. Sometimes I might talk to my uncle 3 times in a year because this man helped raise me. So, he's not just an uncle to me; he's like a father figure to me. So, it's not just the person I can go back to being 6 years old when he was cutting my hair. I can go back to being 7 years old when I got pissed off and I threw a rock so hard that it broke Jody's head. I can remember getting in the fights and he the first one to say, "Did you win?" Those are the moments that took me back to because those were childhood moments. And I was in trouble. I stayed in more trouble when I was a kid than I did as an adult. But uh, I've always had anger issues. I've always been quick to hey. I've learned to turn it off more so because I know that you can do so much with anger in 30 seconds that it would take 30 years to undo. If you can do it in 30 years. I've pissed off a lot of family through drinking, and everybody who dealt with me or deals with me will tell me straight to my face, "You're not the same person when you're drinking. You're just not the same person." And I've heard it. I just wouldn't accept it. Um, yeah, I've spent the last couple of days not drinking since we had that conversation. It inspired me to do so because I'm realizing that you're getting further and further away from family. They're distancing themselves, and it's not protection from you, it's a protection from themselves because these people are going to think how they think and they're going to lay down at night hoping that they can sleep at night without hearing about me having a car accident or a wreck or something like that. I quit a job because I was falling asleep at the wheel, which was unnormal for me. But I know that my body gets so tired because you be dealing with so much pain sometimes. I can, if I'm lucky, I can get 2-3 hours of sleep. I've worked 2 jobs just because I'm like I'm already up. I might as well make the best of it. But even then, I have a particular time where I know that I can go to sleep, and I know that my body usually it'll allow me to sleep. I might not sleep for 2-3 hours, but in that particular window, I need that time so I can let my body rest. But I know that I can draw inspiration from this situation than to be desperate about it, because I've been desperate, and all desperation has done is taken me down a deeper rabbit hole, and I got to climb out, because I know where this path is going. I know where this path is leading me. I need to find inspiration in my desperation right now. I need to be inspired just simply because there's nothing else left to do. But you gotta get your ass up off the canvas, bro. You gotta keep fighting. Because if I gotta live another 30 years, then I want those years to be the best 30 years that I've lived compared to. I would love to be like, bro, I live better in my 50s than I do in my 70s. I live better in my 40s than I did in my 20s. Not only because I have more insight, but because I know how to manage life. And I was always the person who, because of my anger issues, I've always had to learn to control my emotions. But when you introduce alcohol into a certain situation, you're no longer in control. Whatever you are drinking or whatever you're taking to avoid whatever pain you're dealing with, that becomes more in control than you are. And I was less in control, and I would rather just deal with the pain than have to deal with the ramifications of what I've said or what I've done. Because at the end of the day, the situation isn't being made better by drinking. It's only getting worse. So, in that, I just came to tell you, bro, or a chick, or whoever out there that might be listening. You gotta draw from an empty well sometimes. It might be your last cup of water, but you never know. It might rain tomorrow. But you can't look at the well and say, because I don't control how much water it's getting or how much water is in it, I just need enough to get to where I need to go. There's a reason why there's cactuses in the desert. You know, you can find underwater reservoirs in the middle of sand. You got to realize that the desert still has places where you can get a drink of water. You would hate to have to find one, but you might be in that situation in life where you got to take your medicine, and now you got to build from it. You got to see what it is and say, I can take this. I can take this little bit of nothing, and I can make something from it, because I know what nothing looks like. It's my sister. I remember asking me one day. I don't know if I was drunk, but I just remember her asking me. She said, "Alex, where's your rock bottom? Where's your rock bottom?" And I told her I don't know, but when I hit it, I better bounce back up. I've hit that rock bottom. I just didn't realize it when I was laying in that bed in that hospital for 3 days unconscious. Something was keeping me alive. There was some sort of inspiration in my life that had me saying, I have to fight through this. I woke up, it was Wednesday. I got stabbed on a Sunday. So those are just confirmations from God that, you know what, I have you here for a reason. You need to find out what that reason is. I don't know what the next year of my life is going to look like. Hell, I don't know what tomorrow's going to look like. But I know that I need to at least have a coherent mind to operate through whatever the day brings me. And you can't trip on emotional highs, and you can't trip on emotional lows, because that's life in general, ebbs and flows. Nothing's gonna be perfect. And the scary part is like I said before in one of my other downloads, you get to the point where you start looking around and things could be going perfectly well, and you're looking and mentally you're calling for something to go wrong because that's all you've known. And lately, life has been treating me pretty fair. I still got the problems, but I'm only compounding the problems by drinking and pondering and wandering and, the what ifs, the coulda, woulda, shouldas. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff that, but the past is the past. The review is only supposed to be used to check when you're on the highway and you look back to make sure, hey, shit, police ain't behind me. Oh, this person ain't running up behind me real fast. Yeah, you got to check your mirrors. You got to be aware of all directions. But if you constantly looking to the side and looking backwards, you're not moving forwards. And if you are moving forwards, you need to be moving forwards in such a way that if something's coming, you can see it coming instead of running straight smack ass into it. And I've been having problems lately of looking to the side and looking behind me and running straight into shit. It was right in front of me, but I wasn't looking forward. I was looking backwards. So I've decided to inspire myself to say, you know what? We've got to do something because there's somebody that you may need to be reaching in a year or so from now. Because if you're really gonna make this change, you've got to make this change, and you've got to be willing to share your story with people. Because there's somebody who may need to hear this story in order for them to say, man, if this dude can go through all of this, I can do it too. I've got plenty of inspiration around in my life where I could say that this person is going through this. Got a brother-in-law who faced 75 years in prison and walked in that courtroom knowing he was going to get his freedom. I love that man like a brother because he was there for me when I got stabbed in the neck, brung me in the house, all that shit. And me and him have gone through it about drinking. And this was one of the persons who would defend my drinking at first because he saw what it was that I was going through. He knew it because he had back problems. But I also didn't show him that monster until maybe a couple of months ago. But he was defending my sister in the right form because, I mean, it wasn't like I was trying to hurt her or nothing like that. But I had said something to her, and I was worried about a black mile or something like that. But it wasn't no big stuff. But it turned into some big stuff. And if I was sober, that situation would have never happened. But you got to draw inspiration from desperation because now you're desperate to make sure that you can be all right with your family. You can call them and say, hey, you all right? They won't even pick up the phone right now sometimes because they don't know if I'm drinking or not. That's crazy. I'm a very isolated individual, and that's not good. It's not healthy. You may soothe the sadness. I'm not even sure I soothe the sadness. I just know that whatever it is, it keeps growing. I remember having a dream of being in a hotel room and something was knocking at the door. And I had a gun in my hand and I was like, you could hear the voice through the door saying, eventually I'm going to come in. And I believe that was addiction saying just that, eventually I'm going to come in. I just know that at this point in time, I'm inspired to do something with my life because it's not like I can't. It's just gonna come with its pains. And I have to do something in order to fix whatever's wrong with me. And that fear of I don't, want to get under the scope, and then somebody says, this, that, and the third, and you got to, or you lose your legs or something like that, because all that's just fear, and fear is false. What do they say? False something appearing real. Fear can be a dangerous emotion if it's not controlled, if it's not used to actually build. fear of being homeless and get your ass up and go to work every day. Because guess what? You ain't very far from it. It's the fear of being homeless. The funny thing is when I don't have money in my pocket, I get the hungriest I've ever been. But I'm the same person. I can go days without eating with $2,000-3,000 in my pocket, eating a can of tuna just to keep driving this truck or doing all this crazy stuff that I used to do. You know, I remember a good friend of mine. I was saving up money, and we stopped to what that was, Waffle House or something like that. Now he was like, "Man, I'm getting out and get some Waffle House, bro. You want to get something?" I was like, "No, dog. I'm saving money. Come on, man. You can." I think that like I had saved up like 5 bands, 6 bands. So that fear of having to drive a truck for somebody for the rest of my life was there. It was in sync. But I know that I needed it. There was only one way to become what I wanted to become, and it required me to have the mind that I've always had and stop looking at the time that's gone by, because the time is gone. You can make something out of nothing. You just gotta have the resources available to you. And sometimes you get caught up in saying, "Man, this ain't happening, or that ain't happening, or who cares?" You gotta get up and still keep fighting, bro. That should inspire you to keep going, because I remember rejection would turn me the fuck on. Like I'd be like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna find a way to get it done. If it takes me 10 fucking years, 20 years, or the rest of my fucking life." You can't lose the inspiration, because inspiration gives you hope. But I tell people all the time, I'd rather be inspired than be in hope. Because if you take the P out of hope, you're just a hoe. Hoes have hope too. And I don't want to be a hoe out here hoping, wishing, or praying. I want to know concrete that things will take care of themselves. Sometimes you don't have the evidence. Yeah, false evidence appearing real. You don't have the evidence of what's going to happen. It just comes to you. And I've seen things just happen for me in certain situations where I'm like, when I'm my most calm, when I'm in my well mannered, correct demeanor, people can see me for who I am. But when you're drinking, people can't see you for who you are. And if that's their only encounter with you, then that's what they're gonna take you as. You can go somewhere and then you be at a bar and you get totally fucking drunk and somebody just calls you a fucking alcoholic, or and the one thing that I'm glad that I don't drive a truck for, because money makes you more of what you already are. When I was making $2,000-3,000 a week, yeah, I could get home and I could drink all day and all night because I wasn't going nowhere. Like I said, I'm more of a hermit, and I used to force myself to go out, but I would go out to bars. I remember I think the only time I went out in Chicago was like to a place that wasn't a bar. I think I went to a bowling alley. I had fun. I met this, I know she was Eastern European, but she was cool. She was beautiful. And me and her sat there and rapped the tab, played a game of bowling. I think we played a game of pool. Went home that night, you know. And when you become desperate, you don't see things the way that you're supposed to see them. Like I said, you start looking around you. You're not looking forward. And that's the one thing that I need to do. I need to look forward. I need to look forward to looking forward. Got to be happy when you don't have it all together. Because there's some people out there, they're happy and content with just the way they are. And I'm not saying that it ain't no alcoholics like that, because I used to, before this back injury, before I like and that was another thing that dawned upon me, because I was like, man, I could remember, like, I could have like a little pint of Hennessy that would last me for like 2 months, and occasionally I just go over there and take a tap of it, get a Black and Mild. I might smoke a little doobie with it, get to my little level, and I'll vibe. But it became seeking a way to numb the pain that made alcohol become what it became. And that's why, I've attempted this thing before. I went to rehab. I've done all of that shit, but it was the mental structure wasn't there. Like I said, the inspiration was that phone call of him saying, "Are you drunk?" So first of all, that means my sister has told him, and probably her, finite way. I love my brother, but I can't deal with him. Not when he's drinking. If he's drunk, you can't get through to him. It's like, because she told me that herself. She said, I can't. When you're sober, you listen to everything. But when you're drinking, you don't listen to nothing. And my biggest problem also is if certain things don't go my way, then it could be set up for me to succeed, but I won't deal with it because it's not the way that I want to do it. My sister told me that shit. She said, your problem is if you can't do things the way that you want to do it, you won't even attempt to do it. And you got to draw inspiration from it, from not being the way that you want it. It's got to be, that's got to be what makes it worth doing, because you can remember how it started, where it was nothing. Yeah, I can start now, because keep drinking, just to keep drinking, I'm losing time already. I've lost enough of it. Just to attempt to be better should be worth doing better. Because if it crosses your mind, then it's something that's in your heart that you want to do. And it's crossed my mind several times, because it's not just the thing of family. Everything that I've lost is due mainly to turning alcohol into a crutch. And I'm tired of walking on crutches, because eventually you get to the point where you can stand up on your own, but every time you look at that crutch, you get afraid to stand up on your own, because you're too busy walking around and people feel sorry for you. But even that runs out. Nobody can feel sorry for you forever, because everybody has problems. They're not just solely exclusive to you. But in that, I have to find the inspiration to keep going. I have to find the inspiration to get up and say, yo, no matter what it is, what I gotta go through, I'm going to make the best of the day and every day forward from here. Because there's a lot more to life than to always be thinking about the what ifs, the pains, and the aches. Because there's somebody that's sitting in a bed somewhere in a hospital rattling in pain. Yeah, I do have pain, but I can still get my ass up and go to work. I might be wanting to cry, but I still get my ass up and go to work when I need to. And in order for me to get to where I'm going, you've got to see the finish line. The finish line is, it's there. But life's like an obstacle course. You've got to prepare yourself for the obstacles. You don't get out here 400 pounds and say, I'm gonna run a 26K. I'm not gonna. You got to train yourself to be in shape for you to be able to handle what you're going to handle. And I've lost shape. I look like the Blob emotionally. And you have the ability to change things, but the first place things change is in your mind. In your mind, but most definitely in your heart. Because your mind is a place where it's going to take you places where you got to be able to say, oh no, we're not gonna think like that. We got to get that out of our head. I had a saying that If you control the way a man thinks, you can control the way a man acts. If you control the way a man acts, you can control the way a man lives. Sometimes I be living the words that I speak, and my sister is firsthand knowledge of that because she'll tell me, you come up with some of the damn goodest quotes, but you don't listen to your own words. She said, I need you to look in the mirror and say some of this stuff to yourself. Because you can tell anybody else that shit, but if you don't live by it, then it's worthless to you. You can create a good book as an author and still be out here meandering around. People wondering, well, how is it that you can come up with all this great stuff, but yet you don't, you lost the zest for life, the ability to say, man, I'm going to get up and I'm going to just go out somewhere just because. Got all these nice clothes and forget it. The rest of the world, I can't do nothing about President Trump. He don't know me. I don't know him. It's not like I'm waking up tomorrow saying, oh, Trump's in office or Kamala's in office. I got to get up and do the work. There's inspiration in that. You should be inspired. The pain should inspire you to say, I got to do something in order to get this thing off my back. Because I can't keep working like this. Physically, it's not possible. I've got to do something in order for me physically to be able to. And then mentally, I understand I'm getting older. This isn't the 20-year-old Alex anymore. This is another version of you with another 20 years on top of the 20 years that you've already lived. So you should be trying to get mentally right for your golden years. Stop doing certain things. Stop acting a certain way. Stop indulging yourself in stuff that really doesn't matter. I was always a loner, so I've never really tried to indulge myself in people like that because I've always felt like somebody's going to have shortcomings just like I do. So in order to avoid their shortcomings, it's better for us to just keep it high and by. Because a lot of people, I started doing what I don't want other people to do, to try to come with a more impressive problem. Everybody's, how they say the oppression Olympics. Somebody's got an even worse problem than me. Now we're sitting up here, because I remember working in the gas station and a lady came to me telling me about all her shit, and I was like, lady, I just got stabbed in the fucking neck, but I'm back here behind this counter. I don't have time to hear a oh, woe is me type story right now. Bitch, I'm in a lot of pain. I ain't call a lady a bitch, but it made you feel like that because she, you realize that you're not the only person out there. There's nothing. The Joker said it best. Chaos. Thing about chaos, it's fair. It's just certain people can afford a lot of chaos. When I watch some of this stuff on A&E and all this stuff, and then you hear about this rich family and how it looks so beautiful on the outside, and they got this sprawling house, and the daddy's got to cover up the murder for the son, and then he ends up killing the son, and you like, damn, they threw away a bag, and then to have everybody in the city protecting them. You done bought off the mayor, you done bought off the sheriff, everybody's paid, but the fucking foolery of the son caused the dad to have to kill him, because he's like, okay, now you starting to, but then everything else comes to light because all of the BS, just that. And that's another thing that inspired me because, like I said, money just makes you more of what you already are. So you can put on this pristine image and, do it for the book, do it for the gram. You can do it for all them things. But when you lay down at night, you gotta sleep with your devils. So stop entertaining them. You're giving them more inspiration by sitting up here, woe is me, and all they doing is growing in size. Because you fueling the fear. You mentally giving yourself obstacles that life's just gonna present to you in a real form, and then you get to say, man, I knew that was gonna turn out bad, because you know why? You were mentally already calling that shit to yourself. Sometimes you just got to be like, oh, all right, that happened. Let's just move along. And I'm not saying it's always gonna be that easy, cause hell, this is I got stabbed in the neck. I turned over a truck. I'm hurting now. I wish I could just mentally turn off the pain and be like, yeah, it's that easy. No, it's not that easy. But I know if I give into it, it's just gonna get worse. It's not like it's getting better. So try to find inspiration in your desperation. Every cloud has a silver lining. Every storm comes with a rainbow. You might not see it, but there's a rainbow somewhere. Learning to accept things for what they are is one of the best things that you can do. You know, I can't change the fact that there's kids starving all over the earth, but I can inspire myself to be a part of a reason why something changes. I could do some work to help whatever little community that I live in be a better place, a safer place, a more pristine place. You know, just my thoughts for today. But yeah, you know, inspire yourself to do something different, and that's what, like I said, I was trying to change, but now it's more so evident that the change needs to occur because somebody that a elder is looking at you. You may not see me every day, but an elder is looking and then he's listening and he's saying, well, what can you do if you can't? What can I do if you can't do it for yourself? You got to want to do it for yourself. So you should find inspiration in just being able to say that I want to be able to say that I dealt with that shit, came out of it, and now look at me right now. The inspiration should be what you want to become, not what you are. Because you can make anything happen. It's just how bad do you want it to happen? Gotta get tired of being tired. You know the old saying, I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I've been that way for a long time, but like I said, just to hear him say that, a man that I know that would try to talk me through anything, but the words that have been said are probably, like I said, she probably told him, you can't talk to him when he's drinking. He don't hear you. He just wants to talk. And I'm not a big talker. So that's my sister always said that. She said, I know when you're drinking. I can barely get a word out you when you're sober. But when you're drinking, shit, I can hear you halfway down the hallway having a conversation. And like I said, I used to be a person that could take a sip and just chill. But after that injury and not wanting to take methocarbamol and gabapentin and all this crazy stuff that they, hey, we subscribe this shit to you. The only thing that really worked was those damn electrodes. That's what I need to do. I know what the answers are. I need to inspire myself to find the answers, get the help. Because if those things you face, you know what works. You only drink because the beers are closer to you than the hospital is, and they're cheaper than what you would probably spend at the hospital. I talked to a chiropractor the other day, and it was like $115. But in my mind, I'm like, shit. You know how many beers that is? That's at least 4 or 5 days worth of beers I could drink. Like, if I do feel pain, like what happens if I feel the pain afterwards? But you still feeling the pain now. Sometimes you drink and you still be feeling the pain. It's not like it goes away. It's just temporary. It's a temporary fix to something. You need to find the fix. You're chasing that that thing in your mind that happened one time where you were like, oh man, that shit is good. That helped me a lot. But then you build a tolerance up to it, and now it takes more and more and more and more and more of that in order for you to just be what you might consider normal. And you're not normal because you're requiring something that is outside of you to be bigger than you in order to cure you from the inside out, not from the from the outside in, not from the inside out. You've got to trick yourself into doing it without it. So the placebo effect does work. So mentally, that's what we're going with. But yeah, I'm glad y'all listen and y'all talk with me. But there's a lot more stuff that we could talk about. But I'll give you guys a break. 40 minutes is enough. Um, like I said, I got to get to this comedy thing because it's there. You know, I damn sure can make people laugh. I was talking to my guy at the storage unit, and he was like, "Man, man, you got a career in comedy, dog. If you don't do anything else, dog, you can." And I've had my dispatcher tell me time. He was like, "Bro, you missed your call," and I'm like, "What you mean?" It's like you're fucking hilarious, man. Even when you're pissed off, you can make somebody laugh. I've seen it. I've done it. But a lot of times it's like natural. It's not like I be rehearsing it and sitting around and you know come up with shit crazy shirts and I got a lot of shit I could be doing besides drinking, you know. But you live in so much isolation, you become a turtle. When you see something, you run back to the water instead of bitch, I'm a turtle. I got a hard shell. All I gotta do is poke my head out and poke my head back in. But I'm not saying leave yourself in the reach of the enemy. And that's what you're doing with alcohol. You leave yourself within the reach of an enemy. That's a cold bar with that one. I didn't think about that. Yeah, you still in complete. You got to stay out of bars because you don't want to be in range of the enemy. So, but like I said, good folks, I'm glad I talked with y'all. Some of this is like therapy for me because I don't talk much out loud. I don't talk much outside of my head. I just talk to me. When I get drunk, then I start calling people and being like, yo, yeah, this, that, and third. I have absolutely nothing to say, really. But we here. More to come. Thank you, guys.